Over the past few years, I've found that intermittent fasting has been a great tool for keeping in shape, and I'm often asked how I do it. That's why I'm thrilled to introduce you to this season's sponsor, the Simple Life app. They are a clinically proven weight loss tool that has helped millions of users lose millions of pounds. Their method doesn't involve restrictive dieting. You simply take the test, and Simple will create a personalized fasting and nutrition plan for you to hit your health goals. To take the test, go to simple.life/Amanda. That's simple.life/Amanda. And as an added bonus, you can use the code Amanda at checkout for an amazing 70% off your plan. Today, I'm going on a style journey with the award-winning BBC radio host, TV fashion presenter, and influencer, the fabulous and joyous Jo Good. Hello and welcome, Jo.
Am I the oldest person you've had on this podcast?
Not by a long way.
Really?
Not by a long way.
Oh,
But now I've said that, I can't say who's the...
Are you going to qualify it? No, because I've actually watched most of them. I watched them. And
Very good, I'm glad.
No, oh my gosh, well, you get the people I can't get to, Amanda. But on my way over, I just thought, goodness me, I am the oldest, I think.
No, not at all. And I embrace all ages because you know my attitude to age. We've been there and talked about it on SheerLuxe, on the Gold show, which I did have an issue about being pigeon-holed into the Gold show.
You said to me, I don't do this 50-plus thing. And I thought, gosh, right, okay. No, you're right. You're right not to. It's very easy to be pigeon-holed. Having said that, Amanda, I've come into a whole new chapter because I'm diverse. I'm old, you know? So I'm almost a box tick.
But stop saying you're old. In your head, what's your age?
Oh, in my head, I'm 18.
Yeah.
Truly, I am 18. I am
You're
18.
a child.
I am a child. You know, so this is, and I don't want to get controversial, and I'm sure people will comment about this. I believe it's because I've never had children, and I've never wanted children. So I've never handed the baton over to a younger version of myself or to the next generation. I've never done that. So I'm just living in this blinkered world of I'm just still the person I was, which is 18. And it's only when you see yourself, you know, and it's that cliche, I see myself in a shop window or I see myself on screen and you think, oh, blimey, you know, actually the years have taken their toll, as they will, and you're 70 and I'm 70.
It's interesting what you say about not having children and so never passed the baton, because I'm in those shoes too.
There's very few of us.
And I'd never thought of it like that. I've always thought I'm somewhere in my 30s in my head and my body, and I keep treating my body as though I'm somewhere in my 30s, despite the fact that occasionally it breaks on me. But that's a very, very interesting point. When you sadly lost your mother last year.
Yes.
Did that change your perception of your age?
Oh my gosh, I could go on about this forever. It made me stop and think about my life, which I never stopped. I've never navel gazed. I've always just kept going. When she went, and I spent the last week of her life with her, I then thought ahead and thought, okay, so what's the legacy? What is my legacy? Because I read somewhere, and I'm sorry, this is bringing the mood down right at the beginning, but I read somewhere that women who are elderly on their deathbed, she died of old age, like to see their legacy. They like to see that their house is in order. And though she never encouraged me to have children, I think she was quite relieved I never had them. I wondered what she was thinking as she was passing when her life was being played out. Was she thinking, gosh, Jo's in a good place, or is Jo still as unreliable and still as insecure and maniacal as she's always been? Because I've never really played by the rules, you know? I don't have the man, I don't have the kids. I have my wonderful life. I have a wonderful life, but I've carved that out for myself. And I like to think she she knew me well enough to know I will survive and I will always survive. But there was no, oh gosh, there's Jo and there's my grandchildren. She didn't have all that. Have you ever thought about it?
I have, and I'm lucky enough to still have my wonderful mummy. And I know that that's a real privilege. And I think there will be a moment that you have that reckoning. And but I do also strongly believe, I have no issue with my age. I'm proud of it. But I think if you constantly repeat your age, you become it. And so I'm quite a big believer in being ageless.
Yes.
Not in denial, but just in not feeding my subconscious that I'm X age or X years, so that your subconscious, your brain, starts feeding that into your body. I mean, I know
good.
some people will go, oh, for goodness sake, what is she talking about? But actually, there is science behind that.
I'm sure there is. I'm sure, because you're reiterating it in your own mind.
Yeah.
I think I'm my own worst enemy in that. And I remember when I did this, when I was doing the styling item on ITV on This Morning, it was like I had Tourette's. I actually opened my mouth when Kat Dealey threw to me and I went, well, I've just turned 70. And as I said it, I just thought, why are you saying this? Are you saying this because you want applause? Are you saying it to convince them, well, look how amazing I look at 70? Why did I say it? But it set a pattern. Then everybody kept contacting me saying, wow, you're 70. And I thought, right, well, you did that to yourself. And I still don't know why I did it.
And interestingly, I mean, we'll come on to it, but your Instagram handle is MiddleAgedMinx.
And you know, my trolls, of which I have many, said to me, well, they didn't say to me at all. They just write on various websites, well, that boat sailed a long time ago.
Ouch.
And I know, ouch. But part of me loves them. Part of me just thinks they're very funny. Some of them are really intelligent, others not so. But yes, Middle-Aged Minx. And you know, once you have a handle, you can't change it. So it's just stuck now.
But can you evolve to just be Jo Good?
I think, yeah, I probably could, but there's so much middle-aged minx stuff out there now. I don't want to risk it.
But also, you're such a minx. You've got to keep it.
I am a minx. I am a minx.
You've got to keep it. I mean, sod the middle-aged thing.
Yeah, totally.
It's, you know,
sod the middle-aged.
You're not even middle-aged yet.
I'm not, and I'm dreading that chapter.
That's a whole other podcast.
Exactly, it's a whole other podcast.
Oh, goodness. But the Gold Show, when you were approached to do the Gold Show, did that at any moment sort of make you think, ooh, but am I gold? Am I that age bracket?
Do you know, isn't it interesting? If it had been anyone else but SheerLuxe, and we met through SheerLuxe.
Yeah.
And I said to you just now, they are unashamedly fashionistas. And you go in that place, you know, you go and you come out so happy.
Yeah.
Because the moment you've entered, they've made 3 TikToks of you. You're out all over the place. I was, at the time I thought, gosh, do I want to be polarised like that? But then when they gave me the lineup of the people I was going to interview on the very first show, I thought, God, I can't get to these people, so yes, I'll do it. And then, you know, when you're in there, they do revere us. All those youngsters in the office literally revere us. And it's what I've said for quite some time now, in that I do believe the age gap is narrowing.
Yeah.
They don't see us as old women, you know, making the best of their lives. They literally see us as trailblazers.
Yeah.
Honestly, they have nothing but respect for us.
Yeah.
So, yes, we are representing a different generation, but with all their respect. And they know they can't do those interviews. We do them.
Yeah.
How wonderful is that?
It's funny. It reminds me of, I went to an event that a friend was hosting, and I ended up in this sort of group of very varied range of age range of girls, and we had such fun together. And by the end of the afternoon, I was nicknamed the Oracle.
What a compliment, though, isn't it?
Such a compliment, actually. I loved it. It was the most charming way of saying, actually, you've got a lot of wisdom.
So much wisdom.
Yeah.
And especially born in the time you were born and being a success at the time you were a success. When there was no social media to promote you, you had to get there through talent, basically. And you did, you know, top of your game.
But right back
Unbelievable.
at you started out as an actress.
Yes.
I do remember you on Crossroads.
No.
What was the viewing figures of that?
They were 25 million a night, 5 nights a week.
I mean, sod social media.
Totally them. But Amanda, come on, this was not credible. When I was at drama school, everyone wanted to go to the Royal Shakespeare Company or the National Theatre. I wanted to be in Crossroads. You know, I was desperate to be in Crossroads. And
why?
My grandmother used to have it on at 6:30 every night. You know, that dong, 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 dong. And I grew up with it. And it's why I love watching reality. I love watching people's lives play out. Even though it was a soap, I love watching the mundanity of just domestic life. I've always loved it. And so when I went to audition for it, the guy, Jack Barton, who was the producer, brought out a file that was this thick. He went, "I've got letters from you from when you were like 18 years of age." And I said, yes, because I was desperate to be on it. So when I got the gig, I was so happy, so happy.
And to a degree, what Crossroads was then is almost what a lot of YouTube and social media is now, because this is my life.
Exactly that.
And this was the Crossroads life.
The Crossroads life. There were no big dramas. It was, you know, it wasn't like Dallas even. There was not a lot happening in those chalets. You know, there was just those chalets with Benny, you know, and I worked for, I don't know if you remember, you might have known her, Sue Lloyd. Did you know Sue Lloyd?
Yes.
She married Ronnie Allen.
Yes,
Sue
yes,
Lloyd
yes.
was a model and then became an actress and married Ronnie Allen in the show and out of the show. And my storyline was I worked for them in the coach house and they literally adopted me, and they did in real life because I was really young. So I lived with them in Birmingham.
Because screen life did sort of blur into personal life, didn't it?
Yes. And I ended up having an affair with the guy I was having an affair with in Crossroads and out of Crossroads, which happens. I see this happening in soaps a lot because you spend so much time.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that was front page news on Valentine's Day because we'd been papped coming out of a restaurant in Birmingham. And I remember calling my parents and saying, "Oh gosh, there might be something in the papers, but just ignore it." You know, and they had no idea. Half the time, my parents had no idea what I was getting up to most of my life.
Didn't they? They saw you every day on Crossroads.
They saw me every day. I don't know if they watched it. I mean, it was like one of the, as I say, Marmite. It was like, I don't know if they were proud that I was in Crossroads or, you know, they were just happy I was happy, basically. They didn't expect a lot from my brother and I, and they didn't get a great deal either. You know, we just did our own thing. And yeah, I warned them about that and it came out. And now I laugh about it. At the time, you've been on front pages. At the time, you are completely traumatized.
Yeah.
But then it is, as the cliche goes, fish and chip.
Well, I was going to say, back then, it was tomorrow's chip paper, wasn't it?
Totally.
And unlike now.
Yeah.
But then you went on into radio.
Yes.
And what is the difference to you in terms of, you know, what do you really feel when you're on air with radio versus acting?
Do you remember Annie Nightingale?
Yes.
So Annie Nightingale, she said, and God rest her soul, she was wonderful. She said, "I'm happier in my studio than anywhere else. It's like a womb." And when I heard her say that, I just thought, that's how I feel. My studio is a womb. I've gone on air over the death of people I love hugely, over the death of, you get this, my animals.
Yeah.
And you go out and you just do it and you can secretly weep. No one sees you. The listeners, when they know you really well, and my listeners have stuck with me for years, they know when I'm upset. And since I've matured, I've broken down on air so many times. And the thought when I was younger of doing that would have mortified me. But now I just cry and I say, "I'm really sorry, I'm crying at the moment. And then you get on with it. They forgive you. You're in this wonderful...
They're with you,
They're with you all the time. And I've dealt with Grenfell, I've dealt with news stories that are Diana. I was on air when Diana died.
Whoa.
And that was a hugely privileged place to be, because when she died, and I know she was a friend of yours, but when she died, there was nowhere for anyone to call but their local radio station. The phones were off the hook, and people just wanting to grieve, just to say anything to us. That will never happen again. I'm convinced of it.
It was a national outpouring of grief, wasn't it?
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And you know, those are different days. There was no social media, and people just couldn't voice. And I was in my studio, and so in answer to your question, of all of the stuff I do, radio is where I'm so happy. It's where I'm happiest.
And then what was the evolution into YouTube, content creation?
Do you know what?
Because you still do your radio.
I love my
and
radio.
You love it.
And this you may keep in or you may keep out. And if my agent was here now, he'd say, shut up. But I'm going to say it. My journey with the BBC has been bumpy over the past few years.
Well, you and many others.
Many others.
Yeah.
And I'm now the oldest radio presenter who has a regular job on the BBC.
That's staying in.
And that, thank you. But that was, I think, down to my listeners who wanted me to stay. And Parliament. I ended up being a question in Parliament about, you know, Joe Good, what's going to happen to Joe Good with all these changes at BBC London. So I was given a national show, and I'm really lucky because I was hanging by my fingernails.
And do you feel safe and secure in that role?
I do now. I think I do, because to go back to why did I stand up and say I'm 70, it's my get me out of jail card. I'm diverse. And my agent will kill me if this goes. No, but it's true. It's like I'm now, you know, you need me because I'm the older voice there. And I am, because there's lots of youngsters come up. And it's like I'm the oracle.
I was going to say, you are the oracle.
Truly, because as you say, wisdom has a huge amount of value. So,
and I think your openness is it's so lovely. The fact that you say, I am childless. I chose to be childless. That's a lot of people will relate to that and go, oh, it's not just me that chose to be alternative to society's norms.
People, I have friends who say that they're stigmatized for it. And no one has ever questioned me. And I think that's because of our generation now. No one has ever, I've never sat at a dinner party and someone said, well, why haven't you?
God, haven't you?
No.
I have been asked
Have you?
Dozens of times.
Have you?
Yes. And most of the time I'm fine about it, but every now and then it's right in your face and really quite offensive.
Yes.
It's like, is it wrong that I decided for whatever reason? And actually, it's none of your business.
It's none of your business, but I think people think you're selfish.
Yeah.
I think that's what they think. Gosh, she's selfishly living her life for herself. Well, you're probably one of the most generous people I know. I mean, how our carbon footprint, sorry, don't get me off on this, is negligible compared to all those people with kids and nappies and plastic toys.
Now, while we're on carbon footprints,
yes,
we're talking about clothes today and style.
Yes.
So let's kick off with, what are you wearing today? Because you look fantastic.
Thank you. I am wearing, this is from a designer, a mother and daughter designer called Phoebe Grace, who unfortunately no longer design. I know. So I'm sending them this podcast because I keep saying to them, please come back. I love supporting young designers and London designers, and I realise I do that a lot unknowingly because I go to a lot of pop-ups in London. I live on Marylebone High Street. There's always pop-ups coming, and they had a pop-up, and Phoebe then had children. This goes back to my earlier topic of children. So she had children and felt that she should give her time to her children, and that's what happens, and probably it should. So they've stopped, but it's Phoebe Grace, and you can still find some of them on Vestiaire, I think. And then I'm wearing these massive Stella McCartney platforms. And as Stella McCartney says, every short woman loves me because of these.
I love it. I love it. But coming back to the beginning, you grew up for some time in Australia.
Yes.
And were you...
Sun damage.
Oh, join the club. Do you have memories? Because you moved to England when you were, what, 11?
13.
13.
Yes.
Do you have memories of what you were wearing and what you were doing
Oh my gosh,
in
yes.
Australia?
Oh my gosh, yes. I think the reason I love colour so much is because of my Australian upbringing. Everything was colourful. It was really colourful. There was no subtlety about Australia in the 60s, well, late 50s and the 60s. And it was like the orange of I had what we called a muumuu in Australia, which was an A-line dress in the colour of those tulips, a lovely burnt orange. In my childhood in Australia, it was all bright clothing. We had uniform. I went to a private girls' school in Australia, but a state school here in England. So I had a very rounded education. And I heard Liz Earle when she came on here, and she said her first touch with fashion was her school uniform. And it probably is the same with all of us.
Yeah.
And it's who customised their uniform and who just did as they were told. You will have customised, I will have customised. Liz, you could tell the ones that did.
So what was your school uniform?
So, oh my God. So it was the opposite. It was like we were dressed in like sackcloth and ashes. I mean, we were dressed in a way they thought English public schools were dressed, but they were over here. They were far more liberal. We were wearing gloves, fawn gloves, would you believe? And to get through the gates, you had to do this to the prefects to show you had both gloves on, clean, and that you lost one, because the girls that had their hands in their pockets, detention. I mean, extraordinary. Boaters.
Yes.
And lisle stockings. This was before the tights came in. Stockings with suspenders, nothing sexy at all. I mean, really awful, because they wouldn't stay up. And, the gym slip that went flat and shiny on the back, awful. But we all customised them.
And what colour?
Navy blue with beige lisle stockings, can you believe?
And beige gloves.
And beige gloves.
And how did you customise yours?
So we had what was called over there, different meaning here, a girdle. So it was like a dressing gown cord that we had round, and each one had a colour representing the house we were in. So I pulled, which I still do to this day, pulled mine right up, ruched it over, and it was on the knee, but you could only do that once you'd left the school gates. And I would do it on the train home. I would sit there. I had my... Hoiking. I would steam my boater so that I could bend the rim. Instead of it like this, it would bend.
So you had a Stetson boater.
I had like a Stetson. But that was the most we could do. But many of the girls never bothered. But you could see the ones that had an eye for fashion very early on.
And then you're back over in England, age 13, having worn a very strict school uniform.
Yeah.
And then what were you wearing to school? So
then I went to Horsham High School for Girls, which was a state school, far more liberal. When we got into the sixth form, we could wear what we liked. And it was, I remember Mary Quant was... she was designing for, can you believe this, Freeman's catalogue, because that's where I got my first quant from. And Horsham is just outside of London. It's 50 miles. So we would hitch, can you believe this?
Of course.
Hitch to get into the King's Road, down to Kensington Market, down to Granny Takes a Trip. I would shop at Bus Stop or Chelsea Girl or Snob. But Amanda, your pocket money only went so far. So every purchase really meant something, because you will have saved for weeks, months to get that wet look handbag or the wet look boots. Do you know what I mean? It was...
But do you remember the very first time that you put something on and it just made you feel different?
Yes, I do. And that was... a caftan from, it was called Horsham Galleries. It was the only shop in Horsham that I would ever have shopped in that was an independent, that had its own style. And it was at the time when I was in the lower sixth, I suppose. and they had the caftans that smelt of India. Do you remember, with the hood? And it was far too long for me, which everything has been for the whole of my life. Everything I've ever worn has hems this big. But I could wear my wedges from Snob underneath it, and it would brush the ground. I didn't have to take it up. I had beads around my neck. I know this sounds ridiculous. And a hood that I could just wear as a frame to my face. And the reason this made a difference was I was wearing it, and then a photographer from the original Glastonbury album, before it was called Glastonbury, it was a festival called something Fair. I think it was maybe called Glastonbury Fair. Anyway, it's the original Glastonbury album. Clocked me on Horsham Station and said, "Can I take your photograph for this album?" And I was a young hippie schoolgirl, basically. And they did. And it's in this album, if anyone's got it.
Have you still got it?
Well, one of my listeners has it and sent me a picture of it. And it was actually photographed in Brockwell Park in London, in this caftan. And the whole reason I'm telling this very long-winded story is it made me feel great, and it made someone notice me.
Yeah. And what colour was it?
It was all different ethnic colours. So it was like muddy brown and a bit of blue and a bit of yellow and a bit of white, all swirled.
I was going to say, was it paisley?
Paisley.
Yeah.
Paisley. But do you remember the colour of those ethnic?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember? It was like all the stuff brought in from India that wasn't cured, all the Afghan coats.
Those Afghan coats.
A wet day on a bus, you could empty it.
They honked, but they looked great.
They looked fabulous. Fabulous, yeah.
Oh, God. By wearing navy as a school uniform, has that put you off navy in any way?
It did until now. And I now realise that navy is a lot kinder than black. Every time I say this, I have to, because I know your take on it. For a woman of maturity, I do think navy's kinder. If I wear black, I will break it up, into monochrome. I still love black. I absolutely love it. But I think navy's actually kinder, yeah.
Now, you were an actress for many years. How much did your costume play a part in you getting into the part?
This is such an interesting question, because I also think being an actress made me not cosplay, because there was no such word when I was, but dress. I still dress in character for events.
Do you?
I would love. I was watching you interviewing Sophie Habu.
Yeah.
And she arrived in her gym gear and everything,
Yes.
and I just thought, oh my God, that's so confident. I'm going to see Amanda Wakeley. I am dressing for this. Do you know what I mean? And I do it, or I dress, and that's the. I think that's the leftover from being an actress.
So do you still dress for your audience rather
Yes.
than for you?
Both. It will be what I want, but I will dress for my audience, for the event I'm going to. I will wear a costume for it, what I think is the costume for it. But to go back to when I was an actress, yes, and that's why you'll get many actors still say, "Give me the shoes, just give me the shoes. If you give me the shoes, I can find the character." And
Fascinating.
yeah, Beryl Cook always used to say that.
And were you very involved with what you wore on Crossroads, for example?
I can send you some pictures of what I wore on Crossroads, because
Please do.
there was no budget. So
Right.
we supplied our own clothes.
Great.
So, yes, but I was playing a car mechanic. So I was wearing my ex-husband's. We haven't even talked about him, but that was a very brief, but fabulous marriage, but very brief. And he ended up in Neighbours. So he ended up going to Australia in Neighbours, which was like the sister show to Crossroads. Yeah. But I was wearing his rugby shirts, Oshkosh dungarees that were mine. Do you remember Oshkosh?
Yes.
His old jackets, because I was playing a car mechanic. And we had to supply all our own clothes.
God,
so no budget.
Extraordinary.
No budget. But I was also, and in the bill, 18 times playing different characters in the bill, always in the same pair of jeans, because they did have a wardrobe department, should I say. But because I was so small, the choice of jeans was limited. And they'd say, we've got some jeans. And I go, no, I know, I wore those in the last episode. So costumes, very important in the character. Always lovely if you got a glamorous role, which I ended up playing a lot of whores and tarts.
Did you keep any of your costumes?
No.
By the looks of your face, you wouldn't have wanted them.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Was there any parts that you would have loved to have had that you didn't? Possibly because of the costumes.
I was desperate. I really wanted. Do you remember a show called Angels? Do you remember? It was all about nurses. It was on the BBC. I really wanted to wear a proper nurses. You know, when they had those
starched.
Yes, starched with the cuffs and a great height, always to add height. And Angels, because it was in the 70s, they wore those really smart. Nothing kinky about it. I just wanted to wear a nurse's outfit. Never got. I auditioned for that 3 times. Never got it.
But you said you were married in the late 70s.
Yes.
Describe your wedding dress to me.
Oh my gosh, thank you. And I don't think I've ever talked about this. My wedding dress was from Kensington Market.
I couldn't find any pictures.
Oh no, because there was no social media. Also, he was on stage in a show called Elvis at the time, playing one of the Elvises. I was on stage in the West End in a play called Once a Catholic. We only had the day off. We had our reception at the Astoria in the West End, which has now been pulled down. My wedding dress was from do you remember the label Forbidden Fruit? I think you're too young, damn it. Those who are in my age group will remember Forbidden Fruit. Again, they came in from India. They were big, heavy velvet dresses, very, very heavy, with a sort of, Amanda, you'd know how to describe this. It was like a plate that had embroidery on, and from the embroidery fell these folds
so it was
of velvet, smocked like it was smocked around this template, basically. And the back was all heavily pleated velvet with bell sleeves.
Must have weighed a ton.
A ton. It would snap hangers, those cheap plastic hangers, but you never needed to hang it because there was no way
and
it
what
would
colour?
crease. Deep red.
Oh, how gorgeous.
Really deep red.
Oh, I need a picture of that.
Oh, God, I'm going to try and find you one. And then a skull cap, a beaded skull cap.
Oh, how gorgeous.
Because I had very long hair, also from Kensington. Oh, no, it might have been from Antiquarius.
Oh,
I think
lovely.
the skull cap was from Antiquarius. And then Chelsea Girl, kitten-heeled boots. I mean, what a mishmash of style. Truly. I thought I looked wonderful.
When did you discover platforms?
Oh, as soon as they came out, because of being 5 foot tall. God, I embrace them. I think I discovered them probably just as I was leaving school. So the wedges and then the platform. In 1970, it would have been. And they've been my friend ever since.
Favourite brand?
Stella.
Do you have tiny feet as well?
Tiny feet.
So what size
I can
are
get
you?
away at 3.
So
Labutan.
cheeky question. Do you ever buy kids' sneakers or...
No, I used to buy kids' jeans, but I now love things very large on me. I quite like being a waif in big clothes, and that's changed over the years.
That is fascinating because as 5 foot, you could find it quite restrictive.
Very.
But the Jo I know has always just embraced volume and
yes.
scale.
And that's come through age. Because and a lot of my critics would say, Jo, you'd suit something more tailored. Well, I don't, because it makes me look even smaller.
I love the way you wear these sort of very oversized.
Yes. And that I've learnt that over the years to embrace. And also I do this series with Nadine Baggott called The Long and the Short of It, where I realise it's easier to shop for my size, for my height. I don't know whether you agree with this, than when you're tall. I have envied you. I've wanted to be average height all my life, but I'd love to have been tall. But I realise I have more choice.
You have so much more choice. And, there's times that I sort of want that floor sweeping coat. It's waving around my calves
Yeah.
and it's just lost all the drama and all the proportion.
Yeah.
And so, yes, I hear what you're saying.
But you can go out in flats and not think, God, I'm almost disappearing. You have a
Yes.
lot of choice.
But that's the lovely thing about platforms is you don't feel like you're tottering around, because if you have a good old platform on the front,
Yeah.
you,
Oh my gosh, it's all proportions.
Yeah.
It's fabulous. I
Yeah.
can run in these.
When do you think you found your sense of proportion?
Very late. When I look back at a lot of what I was wearing, I have a very good friend, he's an actor, who says to me, Jo, you look like you'd won the pool. I mean, I was wearing these very fitted, tailored trouser suits. And you taught me, gosh, I've used this. You taught me, you didn't mean to teach me, but you came out with this, as you get older, don't be neat, don't have matching, leave stuff unsaid. Well, I had matching handbags, shoes, lipstick, bow, trouser suit. I did look like I'd won the pools. and I was like that for many years. And I think I started probably in my 50s to find my true style.
Yes, it's interesting, when people find their style DNA.
So true. So true.
Do you have a style icon?
Yes. Do you know how to pronounce her name? Greta Garbo?
Oh, yes, yes. I know who you're talking about. Do I know how to pronounce her name? Not a clue.
No.
But
Nadine calls her Greasy Ganem. Forgive me if you're watching, but I'm always banging the drum for you. She is, and she's only on Instagram. I mean, she's on social media. She's not come from anywhere other than social media.
But the two of you, I mean, you should do a joint post, because
try and get hold of her is almost impossible.
Yeah.
So that for me now, but my younger self, and I still worship her, is Sienna Miller.
Yes. But are you ever influenced by her?
Yes.
Good.
I am.
Good.
And I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm a real snob when it comes to labels. So I don't shop in the high street very often.
Interesting.
Now, and this could lead on to sustainability, and I can back it up, but I don't. I used to. And and this sounds so awful, as I become more successful, I don't. So I sound horrendous.
You just spend more.
I spend what I earn, because, as I said, I don't have kids. I'm not having to pay for school fees, shoes, uniforms, money to go and Disneyland. I don't have to do any of that. So it all comes back on me. When she went to Marks and Spencer's, I was then in Marks and Spencer. I hadn't been in Marks and Spencer's for years.
Yeah, it was a very, very clever move.
Oh my goodness! And now she's with Frame.
Yeah,
best jeans you can get.
Yeah. But lovely to hear that you are influenced by someone that's a good few decades younger than you.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And I think that's very clever that M&S have chosen her as,
isn't it?
As an icon.
And you know why? Because she's a hippie chick.
Yeah.
And that's me revisiting my youth.
Yeah.
So it is very clever.
Yeah. I'm with you. There, it's a bit like I always think Sienna and Kate. They're the same sort of, endlessly cool,
aren't they?
Women that are girls that we just take inspiration.
Totally.
From.
And they were there with vintage long before anybody.
Long before. Would you say you had a worst fashion moment?
Many.
Was it your won the pools?
I think it's me looking like I've won the pools, which endured for many years. Yes. But with trends, this is why I so love where we are now, is there is no trend. Everything goes, everything. And we were following trends, and it was trend faux pas that I was making,
Yes.
Like transparent fishnet T-shirts. I mean, just awful. I mean, really awful. And I remember thinking, God, I'm so cool. I'm in Amsterdam in this fishnet T-shirt. And the photos of it, you see how unforgiving it was.
But were you having fun in it?
Yes, of course. Always, always.
But can we just spin back for a second? So you got into becoming a YouTuber, a content creator. How did that happen?
Do you know what? So I lived in Brighton. I was doing the breakfast show for the BBC in Brighton when I'd come out of Crossroads, because you come out of Crossroads, you can earn money off the back of it, touring #1 tours for so long, and then no one will touch you because you're known for Crossroads. So
you're a specific character
totally
in Crossroads.
So you can play that for a couple. You can do panto as Carol sounds from Crossroads. I did steaming on tour. Then it all dries up. And Brighton, when I was working in Brighton as an actress at the Theatre Royal, they asked me to do a newspaper review. So I went in, did the paper review, and they said, "You're quite gobby. We'll give you a show." So I ended up doing a radio show. It was as easy as that. That would never happen now. Did the radio show. My agent, who represents radio presenters, not social media or anything else, took me out to dinner and he said, "You must know Zoella. She lives down here in Brighton." And I went, "I've no idea who you're on about." And he said, "Oh, she's a YouTuber. She just sits in her bedroom putting on makeup and packing her bag to go on holiday. She's like 20, if that." And I just said, "No, I've no idea. I've never heard of this person." I go home from that meal, watch Zoella, and I am literally hooked. I'd never watched anyone on YouTube before, ever, other than how to repair a plug or something. Never watched a YouTuber. And I was mesmerised by her. And I just thought, oh my God, what is it about you that's made me watch you for almost an hour? It's this watchability. From then, having done that, I just thought, I can do this. I can just sit and talk to people. I sit and talk to people in a studio. I'll just sit and talk to people in front of a camera. So, and with no intent of gathering anybody around, I just thought, I like this medium. I like welcoming people into my home and my life. It's what I do on air. I'll now do it on YouTube. So I started to do it, posted it with my goddaughter's boyfriend, who was still at school, who knew how to. I didn't know how to do it. Posted it, and it started to grow a following. So to skip forward quite a few years, Zoella's mum is now one of my close friends. And I ended up interviewing her, actually, about having these extraordinarily successful kids, Joe Sugg and Zoella, siblings. And she's just like one of the most normal people I've ever met. And she went, I had no idea what was going on. I mean, she actually said this body shop truck tried to come down the lane with products for Zoella. And she went, I didn't know what she was doing. I know, unbelievable. So yeah, it was all down to Zoella.
And so you started your YouTube at the same time as your Instagram?
Yes, probably. Yes, I fought Instagram. I'm still not a huge fan of Instagram. I like stuff being played out in time. I can watch paint
Is that
dry.
the actor in you?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't.
The story.
The story. It's like I always give Brideshead Revisited. People said that's such a slow series. I said it didn't go slow enough. I love watching stuff playing out.
Yeah.
And Instagram was just snacks.
Yeah.
And I still think it's cheating. I'm sorry. It's just cheating. It's like, it's throwing stuff at me. I want to just watch people. You and I have a mutual friend, Lydia Millen, who's been on this. And I said to you, I know where she keeps her saucepans. I know the layout of her house. I know everything. And I feel so flattered. She allows me. I mean, she's selling, as she says, she's selling stuff. She's an influencer.
Yeah.
But she gives me meat with the bread.
Because of your life as an influencer, and because you're in front of the camera the whole time, and the camera's in your home, it's your camera, has it affected how you live your life? As you know, are you more conscious of keeping things merchandised and beautiful? And
I'm very conscious of what I have in view, and you do start to copy people. These candle brands that come out, I suddenly think I need one of those in the foreground or the background. I mean, yes, and I need order. I live in a very small flat in the centre of London. I need order. I need it to be camera ready at all times because I vlog every single day. My followers are urging me to do, like I did Through the Wardrobe with you, and I was so impressed. You let me in. You let me in. I just thought, oh my God, I couldn't let you into mine, Amanda, because there's stuff hanging everywhere because it's such a small flat. Yeah, you are very wary. You're very wary of you're wary of so many things. My skincare becomes this whole procedure in the morning and night because I'm promoting different brands. I actually do love it. I think, gosh,
What an indulgence.
what an indulgence. I'm using, I open and they quite rightly say, Jo, how can you be using this when you used this last week? And I just say, well, that's what I'm paid to do, is try it out.
Yeah.
And I only work with the brands that I like.
And talk authentically
And
about
talk
your
authentically.
experience. Yes.
If I didn't use it, I would never promote it.
Yes.
But there have been consequences. I've had, shedding skin from using 3 types of retinol in a month.
That was sensible.
Yeah, ridiculous.
But how does it work in terms of, you say you've got this small flat in Marylebone. Your front door bell must go a lot. And how do you handle that? Do you have an assistant that... I'm looking at her, aren't I?
Yes, I wish I had an assistant. Gosh, I would love to have an assistant. That's the immoral part of influencing, the stuff that you're sent, that you can't, they send it in the hope that at some point it's either going to be in the background, you're going to do an unboxing. And I don't do many of those. I don't.
Unboxing, I think it's the most pointless thing on the planet.
That is such consumer.
It's just inane.
It's immoral and inane.
Yes, yes. But surely they've got to get your details, or does everyone on Marylebone High Street know where Jo Good
I come
lives?
out, they do. And people say to me, God, people say, do you not worry? And I go, no, because these women are amazing. Also, I live in a block that is high, the CCTV everywhere. But I'll come out and there'll be men and their wives waiting for me because there's a cafe underneath. And they go, here she comes. And the man, poor man, has no idea who I am from Adam. And the wife goes, oh my gosh, we've been waiting for you. Is Myrtle, the dog, here? And I go and get Myrtle, bring her down. I love it. They are the most amazing women. They're amazing.
But hang on, does this mean you can never just pop out?
And that's the trouble.
For a pint of milk?
That is the trouble.
With no makeup on?
No. I've tried it, and that will be the time you are literally stopped and, can I have a selfie and whatever?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it does change that. But can I there's something when you talk about the influencing and promoting things. As an actress, I was in a lot of commercials.
Exactly.
So I was doing, oh no, not another nasty for, skincare, promoting all kinds of stuff.
And you were paid to do that, to promote it.
Exactly. Yet I had no affinity with the brand.
Yeah.
And when influencers get such a hard time, we are trialing it, we are using it, we are wearing it in every day, well, hopefully. So, to be chastised for being an influencer and just promoting stuff, I did that as an actress all the time.
Yes, I think that is such a good point. I really do.
And they didn't have a lot of integrity, these commercials. It was like Sill It Bang. It was like wham bang, sell it.
Sill It Bang.
Whereas I like to think we do put some creativity into what we're selling.
Well, I think you're only going to be successful and then get repeat work if you're authentic.
So, and that's the whole key to it. There is no hiding place. So on Instagram, and probably everybody knows this, there's insights, deliver immediately your successes and your failures. Yeah. So again, on a television commercial, you can say, oh, I was part of the Maltesers ad, I did really well. It may have done well for me, or it may have been someone else that was. Yeah. But on Instagram, it's just you.
It's brutal, isn't it?
It is brutal.
This either worked or it
exactly.
didn't. It didn't.
So when you see influencers working again with the same brand, you should applaud them.
Yeah.
Because it means they've succeeded.
Yeah. Now, being in front of the camera the whole time, does that make you very body aware?
Yes. I think I've talked about this before. I've had eating disorders. I think I probably still have eating disorders. I think a lot of
Do
women
you?
have. And I had them when my dad died. I think it really kicked off. I think I probably had them for most of my life, looking at myself typically through ballet classes, then being an actress, always looking at myself. Yeah, I'm quite hard on my body.
And still now.
Yes. Yes.
And how does that manifest itself?
I think in that every single thing that I eat, I think about.
Do you?
Still, even though I consider myself now healthy, at a healthy weight, that's only because I have to think it all through. So yesterday, no, it wasn't, it was Saturday, I was at a wedding and ate everything, knowing that Sunday I had to really restrict myself. So this isn't healthy, but I remain healthy because I will eat sensibly, but I will limit what I eat the following day, and then maybe the day after that, to balance out the wedding. Now that's crazy.
And exercise?
And exercise, that's got better. So like you, I love yoga, absolutely love yoga. Would have run when I was really badly anorexic. I would have run if I could, but it just didn't suit me. It doesn't suit me at all. And I'm very active, but I'm very flexible. And running just, I don't know why, it just didn't suit my body. And I do tend to walk. Yes, I'm a very active person. I don't have an app saying how many steps I should have done or anything else. I don't do that because that's really not a good idea.
Yeah.
But I do yoga every single day and Pilates.
Let's talk about hair, makeup, and manicures. You used to have long
Like
hair.
yours. I love your hair.
When did you lob it off?
I think it was, I cut it into what we call the television news bob when I was doing...
The BBC television news bob.
It was the Tony and Guy television news bob. Tony and Guy did a really good... Everyone went from BBC News to have a Tony and Guy bob. And I did that in Brighton when I was doing documentaries for the BBC called Inside Out. So I thought I'd better have a Tony and Guy bob. So I
Because
did that.
did you feel like you'd be taken more
Yes.
seriously?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
And I don't know if I was or not. Then I started to grow it back, and I grew it back till about 10 years ago, probably. And I went to... I was doing a yoga class, and my yoga teacher always had her hair in a bun, and she undid the bun and it just fell into this marigold type shape, short marigold. And I said, gosh, who did that? And she told me the hairdresser, who was a independent hairdresser. So I went straight to her, attempted to have that marigold style. It never happened. It ended up like this. And I followed this hairdresser ever since. And this is how it's... Sometimes I have a centre parting and have a proper bob. Otherwise it's a side parting.
No, I love it.
Do you?
Absolutely love it.
Oh, thank
yes,
you.
No, I
'Cause
think
I'm never sure.
Oh no, I think it really suits you, and it's flippy and...
Thank you. My very good friend Julian Clary always says to me, please go for a pixie, please go for a pixie. And I just can't.
No, don't. This is feminine on you.
I think so.
Yeah.
Thank you. Oh gosh, thank you.
Tweakments?
So, no.
You can raise your eyebrows.
I can raise... So the only thing I've had done is Profilo. And I've had it 3 times, and I'm beginning to think it probably isn't worth it. I don't know whether it's...
Painful?
Well, love bites all over my face and neck. It literally comes up as bites. I was desperate to have something done to my neck, because my neck, and I think that's through eating disorders. It's, I lost so much weight. It will never... The neck is the hardest thing, isn't it? I would love a neck lift, but you can't. You've got to have the whole lot.
Would you ever go there?
Yes, but I don't want to become a documentary. That is the only reason I don't, morally. But then I've just listened to an interview with Jane Fonda, who said she regrets everything she's had done to her face. Isn't that amazing? I had Botox years ago, and this eyebrow fell down. You know how sometimes it can't. So I was literally holding it like this for a few months, and never had it again.
Yeah.
But the Profilo, and I don't know whether that's worked or not. I've still got all these.
Yes, but I think when I look at you, all I think of is this joyous smile, this
I have had
huge,
a great life, and I do think it's on my face.
Yeah.
I have had a great life.
But you know, you've got a smile in. You smile with your eyes as well as your mouth, and I
thank you.
I think a great smile is.
Yeah.
I think one of our biggest anti-aging tools,
I agree.
isn't it?
I agree.
And your teeth are beautiful.
Thank you, but those are they've had work done.
Okay, coming back to your clothes, what is stay-at-home, chill-out Jo wearing when you're not in front of the camera?
So yes, and this is because I was influenced. It's this cashmere tracksuit, and they are wonderful.
Yeah, they're dreamy, aren't they?
They are dreamy. I don't like sports leisure wear at all. I don't wear trainers. I don't like tracksuits. I just don't like it.
You only like cashmere.
So I like a cashmere, and there is a brand I work with, and they supply me with my cashmere, the best cashmere ever.
And what is that brand?
It's Lily Silk, which a lot of influencers
I have their pillowcases.
Aren't they wonderful?
Genius.
Because it's mulberry silk. I'm going to my full it's mulberry silk. Yeah, their pillowcases are great.
Gorgeous. And do you use a silk pillowcase?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Definitely.
I mean, I take them with me when I travel. Do you?
I do too. Yeah. And when I don't, it's like
you feel like you're sticking to it. Yeah. It's wonderful. Yeah. You don't sweat. Oh, your skin just glides along it.
Sweat, you just glow.
Yes.
So on that note, what is date night Jo wearing?
Do you want to know how long it is since I've had a date? Oh my God, because I was dreading you asking me about my pajamas. Well, what I wear in bed, because I was saying I have not slept with anyone for so long, but I still wear silk.
More information than I was asking.
No, I know,
but
sorry.
Just volunteer away,
No, because
Jo.
Date night, right. It's so weird. Amanda, I've had so many dates that I feel I don't ever want another date. Isn't that awful? There was an actor called Ben Mendelsohn. I'd go on a date with him. He's probably the only person left in the world.
Ben, are you listening?
Ben, and I did actually meet him in Marylebone High Street. He's an American Hollywood, very successful actor. Walking down Marylebone High Street, and I literally accosted him. But he was lovely because I had my bulldog. He made such a fuss at the dog. And I said, please come on my radio show. Please come on my radio show. And he went, he's Australian. He went, okay, I'll put my number in your phone, which he did. Every day for about a month afterwards, I would go on my radio show, say to my producer, can you, on air, I'd say this, can you phone Ben Mendelsohn and see if we go? And she would phone him and we'd have the dialing tone going out. Never answered. Oh, so I've no idea whose number he gave.
Ben.
If I was going on a date with Ben, I would wear an LBD, always a little back dress, always.
And what length?
To mid-calf. I have a little black dress that I bought from those days in Brighton. Paul Smith, it is. And it's very similar. That's why I love what you're wearing. It's like a tube. Very similar sleeves, except you can wear it off the shoulder or on the shoulder. Pull it down. Or put
sounds perfect.
As the date warms up, just start to wiggle out a bit as I'm sitting there. Oh my gosh, I've worn it. It's always my go-to. And I actually interviewed Paul Smith and told him that I've still got that dress. And he went, I remember, he's amazing. He went, I remember the fabric of all of your, he went, I know exactly where we got that fabric in Italy.
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing.
How
Do you like
magical.
him? Do you like
I think he's brilliant. I really, really think he's brilliant. Yeah. How would you want someone to describe your style DNA in 3 words?
Cool, hippie, chic.
I like that. I like that.
Do you think that's appropriate?
I do, actually.
It's always going back to the 70s, with the wide legs. I like to think I'm cool. and I can be chic.
But you're also quite glam.
And yeah, see, I never think of myself as glam.
You are.
Am I?
Yeah.
Gosh, I take that as a huge compliment.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Travel. Are you a good packer or a bad packer?
I'm a last minute packer. I throw everything into. I've got this thing about luggage. I refuse to ever have anything on wheels for a long time because it annoys me, the sound of these bloody wheels.
Says the 5 foot.
Exactly. I know, exactly.
Nothing.
5 foot nothing. But I just thought, oh, this dragging these flaming wheels. So
I'd have a handbag on wheels if I could.
would you? I do now. But I was in Amsterdam once, and we were going down the canal, and it was really early, and the people ahead of me were brum, 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 and I just thought all those people on the boats are hearing these flaming wheels. So I like luggage. I like to carry luggage, or now, probably because I'm travelling a lot more, I do have wheels. But I leave it to the very last minute, and I just chuck stuff in. These influencers, I mentioned Amelia Liana, she will start to pack a week ahead. So in her spare room, she has I never do that.
It's exhausting.
Yeah. I just chuck it in, my basics, and a couple of nice date night outfits. That's it.
And favourite luggage?
Well, it is my old canvas bags. It really is. What are they? They're not Barber. What are they? They are canvas with leather handles. Oh my gosh. I got it from a fishing shop in the lanes in Brighton. Massive. And they go down in size. So I've got 3
They
sizes.
sound unbelievably heavy.
Well,
by the time you finish, they are.
Oh gosh, they are. But they're stylish. They're battered. I remember seeing, who's the young actor? Oh my gosh, it's a very young actor who arrived with that luggage. And he was packed, and I just thought, good for him. He was like carrying.
Well, I was about to say, and muscles
bulging.
Yes.
Actually.
Yeah, exactly. Got to just ask you your approach to sustainable fashion.
Right. My excuse is that I pay price per wear. So as I've admitted.
That's not an excuse. I think that's
Exactly.
That's completely justified.
So I don't do fast fashion. I don't do high street. Very, very seldom will I do high street. My clothes are my friends. I love them. And I will bring things out and I think, oh, yes. I remember the day I bought that. I had a habit as an actress. Every good job I had, I would buy an item of clothing. So I'd say that was from the bill. That was from Silent Witness. That, these were the outfits that I bought. So, and I would invest in them. So they are my friends. So in a way, that's sustainable, price per wear. I also have a thing, you're going to hate what I'm saying now. I have a thing about vintage.
Don't prejudge me.
Vintage on vintage. I'm vintage. Wearing vintage can be very aging. If you're young, vintage is a novelty and it looks great. If you're more mature and you're wearing vintage, it can make you look really old.
Very interesting point. Very interesting point. Yeah.
But I love that the Kate Mosses, as we were saying, the Sienna Millers can go down that route, wear their mother's clothes, their mother's coats or whatever. You can't when you could be a grandmother.
Would you ever buy a vintage bag?
Yes. But it's weird. I'm really not into bags. And again, I think it's because I'm so small. I seldom wear a coat. I hate wearing coats. You've had Rachel Stevens on.
Mm-hmm.
She taught me, because she's my height, she went, just wear them over your shoulder, never put them on.
Yeah.
Because you get smaller.
Yeah.
So I very seldom, I hate carrying bags because it makes me look more cluttered.
Mm.
I like to be quite linear. So no, bags, the whole Hermes thing, I do.
It's saved you a fortune,
it has
Jo.
Literally saved me a fortune, hasn't it?
It really has. Right, let's spin on to some quickfire questions. What fashion advice would you give your 20-year-old self?
Grab the platforms as soon as you can find them. Height, height, height. Lengthens your legs, gives you more credibility. Sorry, but it does.
Interesting. Which fashion trend would you most like to see make a comeback?
Oh, very much. The maxis. I love the max. I know you love maxis.
Mm.
They're still there. more long dresses, more long flowing dresses. I love them. Yeah. They're so romantic, and you could disguise your massive platforms underneath.
Fashion or beauty trend you'd consign to room 101?
Oh, eyebrows. That porn star eyebrow thing. What is that? Because they don't fool. And, you just see that they're all drawn on and or tattooed on or whatever. I never got that. That's slowly going, thank heavens. But yeah, the shading and the eyebrows.
Your last impulse buy?
I'm waiting for them to arrive tomorrow. They are, now, correct me on this, is it Amina Muaddi?
Yes.
They're snakeskin boots, which I ordered. Now, I've
Printed?
got... Yes, printed.
Yeah.
Oh, God, yes. I've got a couture dress that I bought last summer, white, with white daisies on, that are applique, so they stand 3D. And I can't wear them with any shoes. And I thought, no, I'm going to wear them with a knee-high boot, very 60s. So yes, so I've bought them. They haven't arrived yet. And I was thinking on the way over here, what on earth am I going to wear them with, even with this white dress? They're a risk.
But they can go back?
They can go back, yeah.
Where was the couture dress from?
Amanda Thompson. She's in Notting Hill. This work, she offered to lend me something when I said on air that I was going to Ascot for Ladies' Day. And I said on air, I really don't have anything. And she emailed me and said, I listen to you as I'm working every day in the studio. Can I offer you something? She's in All Saints Road. I went and had a fitting, and it was this dress, actually. And she lent it to me with a coat, which I've worn all winter, a white coat. And I came back and I went, can I buy these from you? And it was not her intention. She said, honestly, Jo, you can borrow them whenever. And I went, no, I want. So I'm now a customer of hers. And she has Off the Peg, which is called by Frank. Her dog is called Frank. So you can either have couture or Off the Peg. All Saints Road, Amanda Thompson.
Your views on tattoos?
Hate them.
Beauty treatment you couldn't give up?
Gosh, I love a facial. But I like, if I'm going to have a facial, I don't want just this hand business. I want a good old cathiodermy. Do you remember? So yes, I have cathiodermy, or Casey, as it now is, fairly often, and my Profilo.
High end or high street?
High end.
Bling or bear?
Bear.
Minimalism or maximalism?
Golly, I've grown into minimalism, but I was won the pools, all out there. Just keep adding layers, matching.
Couture or charity shop?
Couture. As I say, can't do vintage on vintage.
Crocs, cute or puke?
Oh my gosh, puke. I mean, even though they've brought them back and they're like, trendily naff or kitsch or whatever, it's just the thought of your feet sweating. Really.
Sneakers or stilettos?
Stilettos.
Bags or shoes?
Shoes.
Boyfriends or wide legs?
Wide legs, always. Cover those platforms.
Bodycon or boho?
Boho.
Sports luxe or rock chick?
Rock chick.
Trend or style?
Style.
Cashmere or cotton?
Cashmere.
Hoarder or editor?
Editor.
Charity shop or resale?
Charity shop.
Beanie or beret?
Beanie.
Shapewear or sexy lingerie?
Sexy lingerie.
Tights or stockings?
Stockings, always.
Bikini or one piece?
One piece.
And finally, traditional last question at the end of the day, what do you or don't you wear in bed?
So I do wear silk pajamas from Lily Silk. I mean, this isn't a collab, but I do. If you've had their pillowcases, try their silk pajamas. And in the winter, I do wear Winciette pajamas. I sleep alone, but I love that Doris Day look,
Jo, honestly, I could have gone on and on and on. I know we've gone massively over already, but I've got another 50 questions I want to ask you.
Amanda, this has been cathartic. I also feel like I've been in the psychiatrist's chair. I have told you things I haven't told other people, which is rare because I never shut up.
Oh, well, then I've done my job.
You have done your job. You're so good at it.
Oh, thank you, Jo.